The basic rules are that, you know, everybody has an equal chance of getting a transplant, but kind of overlaid on top of that, people who are under 18 are kind of prioritised because it's very important for them to get an early transplant, obviously, because a lot of things are happening in their lives that they need to be flexible about. So they're kind of top of the list. Then sort of young adults or people under 25 they get slight priority over the rest of us. And then if you've been on dialysis for 5 years or more, then you're kind of third priority. I don't think you can cope with your life generally if you were constantly expecting a phone call for a transplant. You almost have to pretend that it's not going to happen. Not that you kind of tell yourself, well, I'm never going to get a transplant, just that it's not going to happen today. And if you can live your life on the basis that it's not going to happen today, then you can just kind of get on with your life. And then the day it does happen, well, that's great, it happens.
I don't like it because I'm not ill and now I'm beginning to feel ill. It's that thing in there, it's an anti-rejection drug. I'm taking tablets, but they're doing it now and then in 4 days' time, and it dampens my immune system so it won't attack the kidney when it's first in.
Singapore, you opt in and they even take your skin, which is your biggest organ. They take your skin for skin grafts. Why not? Belgium's another one. I don't know, there are others. But
and have there ever been any problems in that? You know, what like listening to you now and knowing your situation and everything, it's really easy to go, well, this is just ridiculous. It should just be a fit, you know, it should just be opt out. But when you really look at it, what are the objections? Are there any objections that are sort of, you know, credible?
Not political objections, only family and relationship, people involved in the case.
It is political because governments don't want to produce in a law to say to people, to 55 million English people or 5 million Welsh or 5 million Scots, we're taking your organs. That is Big Brother saying we're taking it. They need to raise the perception, produce the argument,
and then make people choose that choice, right?
By Parliament saying this is now the law. We've debated it on your behalf. Now it's up to you. You have a choice by opting out.
Is it big enough on the whole grand scheme of things to need a referendum? Probably not.
I think it's getting to the point where the pressure on the national health and money.
Monetary reasons.
The monetary reasons alone. I mean, it would save gazillions, really.
Would it? Why would it save so much money?
Because of the people waiting and dying on dialysis and everything else. You know, I was at 12 months, 2 years, something like that. No, 3.5 years. On a cardiac consultancy. That was drugs and God knows what else.
Costing the state.
Costing the state. So it's a matter of changing perceptions, changing awareness, and then pushing it through. Like I say, it's happening. So it's just 20 years too late for me.
I lost my mum. She had a brain hemorrhage. She'd never been ill, and she basically got rushed to hospital. But I've been in the other situation where you've got somebody very, very close to you, and it's the wrong time of your life to be asked to donate. Yeah. I couldn't envisage somebody cutting her up when you're in such trauma, when you've just lost them. And that's what they've got to change, is they've got to change it. That you're not asking somebody when they're in a traumatic state. It's got to be something organised before. Yeah. I mean, the Scandinavian countries, they opt out instead of in, don't they? And they've got so much larger supply than we have. But they also make it very complicated when they explain it on the television. I've never seen it. All you need to do is say, you're going to be saving 20 people's lives by actually doing it. And people just don't realise how many people they can save, because they can't save the person that's died.
So I've just taken a picture of Lauren's lovely stockings, and I'm just going to put it on Facebook and say Lauren's doing well, but she doesn't like the hospital fashion much. Oh dear, how funny. She's putting it on me.
I know, it's amazing, isn't it?
Oh, modern technology.
Yeah, you sure about this, Lauren?
Yes.
Okay.
Too late.
It's out there. It's out there. On the information highway. Right, just give it a minute and then it'll...
They are lovely.
Particularly
Lauren?
nice. And the West Ham slippers.
Yeah, and your West Ham slippers.
No Dad's West Ham slippers.
Where you would bring
What was that?
Fab new look. Bring a pair home for me.
There we go. That's great, isn't it? Don't you just love it?
Shall I leave these slippers on my stuff?
You know where they are, don't you? It's probably getting up to it anyway, isn't it?
We've talked a lot in the kind of filming about going abroad to get one. How would you view that?
From a moral aspect, it can't be right, because you don't know how these organs are taken. And some people are totally unscrupulous just to make money out of the whole setup.
Oh, yeah.
I think probably the National Health Service is the safer route.
Personally, if I had a lot of money, I'd buy you a kidney.
Where from?
I wouldn't care.
Right, you don't have the same moral
No,
things that Dad does, and that
No.
I do, actually.
no, because my first thought has always got to be you. If you don't have it, somebody else will. I am not involved in the moral harvesting. If there is a kidney available, you know, how many people work for companies and they are paid in immoral money anyway? You are not in the actual mainstream of the harvesting, and I'd overcome my moral scruple.
Okay. Well, I mean, from my point of view, I mean, like Dad says, it's quite dangerous. The people, I think, in sort of third world countries who donate their kidneys for not very much money, 100 quid or something, quite often they die because the medical treatment's not very good.
Absolutely.
And I'm not in any danger of dying. It's just inconvenient.
Right,
So,
it's
yeah.
your quality of life that's...
So yeah, it'd be difficult to justify
Impaired.
that.
I know. It's I feel that people have to do what they have to do, and if there is a market available, you will find people willing to, and sometimes not so willing, to give up their organs. And it's almost as if I'm not involved with that. I buy a mink coat, though it's immoral to skin mink these days. You know, I love mink. It's the most wonderful
You can
thing.
cut that rubbish out for a start. Well edited out, that crap.
This is a Dobsonian, invented by a gentleman called Dobson. And the great thing about it is it's very portable, as you can see, even though it's quite large. And this is the cradle that it sits on. Now you'll see that the cradle can rotate. So that's side to side motion. And also the telescope in its little housing there can rotate in that direction. So it can point anywhere in the sky, up and down, side to side. People sometimes say, doesn't it make you feel very small and insignificant? And I say no, because indoors I've also got a microscope. And when I look through that, I feel really big and significant. So it works both ways. It's a wonderful thing, isn't it, that this is one of those philosophical thoughts. People are in the middle of creation because there's all this vastness up there and there's all this tininess down there, and we're in the middle. We can look both ways. So we're in the grandstand looking at nature. One of the most wonderful things that's ever happened to me is that, you know, when I was diagnosed with kidney failure, I naturally told a few friends and relatives, etc., and 6 different people, related and unrelated to me, have offered me a kidney. I just wept, you know, basically, because it's amazing that people will sort of subject themselves to that just out of friendship and love. I think that being an astronomer does give you a fairly sort of sane view of life, and you realise what's really important in life. When you're stricken with something like kidney failure, you could sort of go into doom mode and victim mode and think, oh my God, this is it. But if you realise how important many of the things around you are, you just carry on living for them and you just deal with the disorder. That's my philosophy, really. I sort of play the hand that nature has dealt me, and if it's a bit of an unpleasant one at the moment, I know that it won't be forever.
This replaced the albumin that's been taken out from the patient, but this is the clean stuff. It's free of antibody. Okay?
So it's protein.
It's protein. It's made of protein, and it helps to prevent hypotension, the drop of blood pressure, and feeling unwell. So we try to get rid of those antibodies that makes her difficult to match with the donor.
Because I feel cold.
Does it? It makes you feel cold?
Freezing.
Yeah.
But why does it make you feel cold?
I don't know whether that's cold.
Because blood is coming out from you, and it takes a little while to get it back, and it's getting processed in here. Yeah.
Almost instant.
Yeah, it's the same as hemodialysis, isn't it?
Yeah.
But this is worse than dialysis in terms of feeling cold. You're not really noticing that it's making you
I'm
feel
colder on here than I am on dialysis.
And this is more abrupt than dialysis, because dialysis we're just taking fluid off, but this is we're taking protein from you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the machine's got effectively two filters. So the first one that you can see here separates the blood from the plasma. So the plasma is basically the water or the liquid component of blood. And the stuff that makes it red are the cells, or the red blood cells, or the cellular component of blood. So basically the first filter separates the plasma and the cells, and the second filter filters the plasma of the harmful antibodies. And those harmful antibodies will end up in the bag that's at the bottom, and everything else which has all the good stuff in the blood, like albumin and all the good things that are needed to be in the blood, are given back to Miss Richmond. 3-4 years ago, if in this situation we would just told the couple that you can't have your partner's kidney because you're going to fight it, and that would have been that. So people have been trying to do this for about 20 or 30 years, but it was more like sort of napalm, where you kind of wiped everything out, and often you could remove the antibodies, but the treatments had so many side effects, the patients didn't do so well. We've kind of gone from napalm to something slightly better, but it's still not the sort of laser-guided cruise missile that just gets what you need to get. We might get that in 10-20 years' time. But